Hey guys, it's Christy. Welcome to the next installment in my Spring 2014 card series. Today I'm going to be using this stamp set by Mama Elephant called Tree Friends. And I'm going to be doing some watercoloring with distress markers. I just keep mine stored in this cute little mug. And the colors that I've picked out today are Worn Lipstick, Spun Sugar, Broken China, Peeled Paint, and Vintage Photo. And I'm going to be coloring the flowers with the two pinks. I'll do the leaves and the grass with the peeled paint. The Broken China is the sky, and the trunk will be in Vintage Photo. So let's get started. So to begin, I have taken a piece of craft cardstock. This is from Crafter's Companion, and I've cut that down to 8.5 by 4. And then scored it and folded it in half to make a 4 1/4 by 4 card. So it's just slightly taller than it is wide, just off from a square card. And then I've also cut down a piece of Canson watercolor paper to 3 3/4 by 4 so that we get a nice border. So we're going to start with our piece of watercolor paper. We'll just set the card base aside, and we'll take the tree from the Tree Friends set, and I'm going to ink that up in some VersaFine Onyx Black ink. And because there is a lot of detail on this stamp, I want to make sure that I ink it up really well and get a really good impression. I'm just grabbing a little piece of scratch paper down here to set under my focal panel. So I'm going to stamp this off to the side a little bit. And it's going to go off the edge of the card. And I want to make sure that I press that down really well and then kind of walk my fingers across the stamp so that I get every bit of that ink transferred to the watercolor paper. And you want to be especially careful with the watercolor paper because it does have that little bit of texture to make sure that everything transfers. Alright, very good. Alright, so we can set that aside. Now I'm going to take our sentiment, which is It Takes a Long Time to Grow a Friend, and I'm going to ink that up in the VersaFine as well. So I'm going to make sure that the watercolor background does not make the sentiment bleed. Okay. And then we'll see where we want to place that. Okay, I'm going to put it up here in the corner so that it runs off the card again. And it's also going to overlap that tree a little bit. Okay, good. And then lastly, I'm going to take the little skunk image and the little squirrel image, and we'll go ahead and stamp those down in the VersaFine as well. I'm going to do the skunk first. Make sure he's really inky. We'll put him down right about there. And we'll line him up with his little friend. Alright. So now we're done with our stamping. I'm going to go ahead and clean off my stamps, and I'll be right back. Okay, I've gone in and colored all of those little flowers with spun sugar, and also a couple of the other flowers that I had not realized that I missed with the Worn Lipstick. So I've got all my flowers colored in, I believe so anyway. And we're going to move on to peeled paint for the leaves. Now some of these leaves, like these ones here, are so tiny that I'm not going to even bother blending. I'm just going to go ahead and color them in. But some of the larger leaves, I'll go ahead and take my aqua painter and add a little bit of water to those to blend the color a little bit more. So I'm just finishing up the last few of the green leaves here, blending those out. And I'm going to clean off my brush. And I'm going to switch to Vintage Photo for the tree. And a tip for shading your images is a lot of times the artists have already drawn where they want the darkest shadows to be. So you can see by the higher concentration of dots on this side that that is where the artist intended the deepest shadows to be. So we're going to go ahead and lay in the most color on that right side. And it gets a little trickier going up on these finely detailed branches. And I apologize if you guys can hear the train in the background. They've been running all day. And just finish up adding that color in there, and I'm going to do a little bit down the left side as well. And then I'll take my brush and start to move that color over. To be just really careful here with the fine branches. But if you mess up a little bit and slop some color outside of the lines, that's no big deal. That's part of the watercolored look. It actually kind of looks quite nice that way with watercolored images. So don't be afraid to get a little bit messy. Okay. I'm going to let that dry, and I think I'm going to add in just a tiny bit more color since it's a little bit too bold on this side for my liking, and then a little bit too pale in the center. But I'm going to let that dry first so I don't oversaturate my paper, and I'll be right back. Alright, so what I've done to add in some more color is just scribbled a little bit of the marker onto this acrylic block and picked it up that way and blended it in, and I'm much happier with how that's looking. Okay, so I can go ahead and clean off my brush. Now I'm going to do that same technique to add in some grass. And I'm once again going to use the peeled paint, but this time I'm going to scribble it on the block just so I can pick it up and distribute that color a little bit more evenly. Okay, and I'm just going to come in here and kind of give a little bit of ground to the image. Pick up a little bit more of that color. Just paint that in. Scribble on a little bit more color so I can just deepen the shadows near the bottom. Especially around the base of the tree. Kind of blend that up. Carry that over around the little critters. Really carefully adding a little bit up by his tail so it looks like the ground is continuous back there. Okay. Clean off my brush, and now I'm going to take a little broken china, just wipe off my block here, and I'm going to add some sky. So I'm going to take my block once again, scribble on the color. Gonna need a good amount. And I'll pick that up. And wherever you touch your marker to the paper first, or not your marker, but your brush, is going to be where the color is the darkest. So I want to stick close to the tree, where the shadows would be, and then kind of blend out from there as I go out away from the image and towards the edge of the paper. Just blending that out. Up between the trees. Okay. This is going to take a little time to get in between all these little details, so I'll continue painting and I'll meet you back on the other side when I'm done with that. So I finished my panel. I've gone ahead and painted in that sky and kind of kept the darker color over by the tree and faded out as it went towards the edge of the card. And I'm just going to set that aside to dry. Now I'm going to take my card front and I'm going to take a Memento marker and a ruler. I'm using the Tim Holtz ruler here, and I just want to give like a little bit of a definition to the edge of the card. So I'm just going to draw a straight line here with my marker just to give it kind of an outline. There we go. And now I'm going to take my focal panel and I'm going to adhere it to the card with my HEG gun. As you can see, the watercolor paper has buckled a little bit. So I'm going to get that full of adhesive. And then I'm just going to line this up in the center. And I'll go ahead and adhere that down. And that's our finished card. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.